Hello and welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. We have transformed. We are now inspiring minds, and we're coming from Next Level Live. As always, we have beautiful leaders with us, people in the transformational space, coaches, entrepreneurs, visionaries. And the idea is just to get you motivated and inspired around what's possible for you in your life. So this evening, we have special guest Nathan Todd with us. Awesome man, doing great work out in the world, a graduate of Next Level Trainings, and we are so excited to have you with us. You call yourself the loneliness coach. This is really cool. Yes, very important topic, especially right now. So awesome, Nathan Todd, welcome.
Man, thanks so much for having me, Alexa. I'm super excited. And man, if anybody has hopped on and you're live, if you have any questions as we come to things, make sure and share it with us, because that will drive for interesting conversation.
Beautiful, beautiful, awesome. So Nathan, you came and you did our trainings. I don't know, it was a couple of years ago.
3 years ago, yeah.
What? 3 years ago? Oh my gosh. It does feel like 3 years ago. It feels like a while ago right now.
Well, that's just 2020.
That's just 2020. 2019 feels like a while ago at this point. Oh my goodness. But wow, and to witness how far you've come since you came into the training, and I know you were up to great things even before. Like how did you get into transformation? Like what was that whole process like for you?
So I think I was born into it, honestly. I think that really did start from the time I came out and I was 4 pounds and 10 ounces. I think it was something that was I've been called to. But as far as from a structured standpoint, I would probably say 10 years ago, I really started getting into transformation, personal development, and starting that journey for myself.
Beautiful. Oh my God. Well, so tell me more about that. We'll get more. Let's start at so you were born premature.
Yeah.
Where do you live? Where do you live?
In Charleston, South Carolina, and I was born in Charlotte, so not that far away. And man, this quarantine has been interesting. So being born premature at 2 years old, I was diagnosed with cerebral palsy. Wow. And that was interesting because my mom knew something was wrong, but she never was able to get the diagnosis, a clear diagnosis, for 2 years. Wow. And even after that, so when I was 3 years old, my parents had to fight for me to have a surgery to be able to walk. And so she fought the state legislature to have the surgery covered through insurance, and through that was able to get it covered for all children in South Carolina that needed the surgery.
Wow, that's awesome. So literally you were like creating change like from day one of coming onto the planet.
Yeah, absolutely. And it all started with a 50-50 shot. So.
And here you are. And how old are you?
I'm 35.
Oh yeah, give it up for the mid-30s. Love the mid-30s. Awesome. Beautiful. Okay, cool. So you started off as this trailblazer just by like circumstance almost. And how was growing up for you? What was that experience like?
So the beautiful thing, elementary school, we're all kids. Nobody really sees difference. Then middle school hit. My family moved at the time when I entered middle school. And that was a rough time because I left everyone that I knew and that I was comfortable with. All of us in middle school, we're just trying to figure out all these changes that are happening. And now I was trying to navigate new relationships and figure that out. So I was bullied by administration when I got into middle school. And so I got taken out of school for, I don't know, like a semester, like 2 semesters maybe. And
By adults at the school, you were actually bullied by adults, not kids, but adults.
yeah.
Wow, that is bizarre.
That happens a lot, and I know we'll get into this. So that's a big proponent of why I am no label defines me, because there were labels that were attached to my disability, and so I mean, fear makes people do crazy things. Fear and just a lack of understanding makes people show up in crazy ways, and that's really what happened in that experience. And so by the time we had done those semesters of homeschooling, I think both me and my mom were like, nah, this isn't it. I was like, I got to be around other kids. And I remember going back to school. I transitioned slowly. I would go one class, then bumped it up to 2 classes, and then I would go home. And I remember my mom would give me these exercises to do when I left to go to school, and a note card kind of changed my life. And so what she did was she had me go to school, and she said, your homework is to get one kid's phone number and their name. And
Nice.
So I did that. I think I did that for like 3 days. That was the exercise. And out of those 3 people, I was in 2 of the weddings. So
What?
yeah.
Wow. Not obviously not in middle school. This is later.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, what I see about you that's so one of the things that I see about you that's so remarkable is that your relationships are so important to you, and you cultivate those, and you're really of the people. And most people talk about middle school. Like me, I mean, most of the stories that I hear is like, I hated it. I was an outcast. People bullied me. But like, here you are going to these schools and like becoming like best friends with all of the people and people's favorite. And how awesome is that? That's such a superpower that you have.
And it really ultimately, if that's something you want to do, that's possible for you to do. And what it takes is to have courage to remove any label that you have, that you are either projecting onto yourself or you're projecting onto that person that's across the table from you.
Wow.
I mean, that is a superpower, not only of myself, but I think of many people with disabilities specifically. We have to, in terms of survival, we get very good at being in relation with people because we know what it's like to be ostracized and to be cut off. So I believe that many people realize, hey, this is super important, and I know what it feels like not to have it.
Wow. That's really, really cool. So you learned that at a really young age, it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, to be stared at every day, you get honed in on that ability for sure, because people stare every day.
Yeah. And so it's like being fearless and just going in and maybe directly just addressing the elephant on the table, or maybe not, maybe just creating relationship with them, not needing to have so much dialogue around it. I mean, what do you feel like connects you most to people that really works for you in those relationships?
I think it's my ability to talk about anything and to talk about really hard things. And it's just because I've lived it. It's my life, and I don't know any other way of being. So it's just natural for me to talk about things. And I can tell you that a lot of people aren't ready for that on the other end. Like, I've had really close friends that are like, when I was going through the process and graduating, they're like, I don't know if we're ready for the way that you're showing up, and the questions that you ask. And what I told them was like, I don't see being any other way.
It's just got to be real.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. So it's like being unapologetic and just being so authentic and transparent.
Yeah, and it comes from a lot of, like, I know what not to do because I did it. There's a thing that I always say, and it's the angry disabled person, and it's the person that hasn't had the opportunities to kind of learn how to communicate with others. And so when you face discrimination on a regular basis, it's very easy to show up and be angry. And I'm not saying that that is a wrong emotion to have, but when you show up and you let the anger overtake you, then people think that all disabled people are angry.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, and then you also don't have the experience that you actually want, which is to be happy and to be loved. I mean, it's like it's so human. It's the need that all humans have, which is to be connected and to be loved. And it just sounds like, yeah, like
So it's interesting that you framed it in that way, because the truth is most people with disabilities, I would venture to guess, you said it's the human need, but a lot of times people with disabilities don't feel human because that's not been their experience. They've been treated as invisible, like they don't matter, like they don't have a voice. So it is a human need, but they don't have the experience of actually having that feeling to relate it to anything.
yeah, you're gonna like make me cry right now. Wow. It's really powerful. So, when you're doing your coaching with people, like, do you find yourself speaking? I'm sure you're speaking to all kinds of people, but do you have a special niche with people who have disabilities so that you can empower them, or what does that look like for you?
So I can speak really clearly to people with disabilities. That has not been my coaching experience specifically. Before Next Level, I was coaching specifically people with disabilities for a nonprofit. We weren't calling it coaching, we were calling it independent living skills training. And what I realized in that experience, and what kind of opened up for me through Next Level, was we talk about inclusion all the time when I work there. Inclusion, inclusion, inclusion. But yet we still siloed ourselves. And I'm like, how can we preach inclusion and not figure out a way to have people without disabilities participate as well? And so that's one of the things that kind of made me branch off and be like, look, this is a human being thing. And everybody deserves to know the power of this stuff.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, what would you say that your mission is right now? On like, what are you up to? Like, what's your big vision right now?
Yeah, big vision. I want the world to realize the power of labels, to realize that even though I say no label defines me, that we're defined by labels every second of the day. But the question is, are you choosing the label that defines you, or are you allowing somebody else's label to become your potential? And that's why I kind of stepped into loneliness and wanting to eradicate loneliness, because what I realized was the thing that creates the most loneliness in the world is when you're living by the expectation or the label of somebody else. And you can never win that game because you didn't set the rules. You don't even know what rules you're playing by necessarily. So I want people to be able to peel that back. Whatever label is holding you back, I want you to peel that back to reveal the authentic you that's underneath that, so you can become the empowered version of you that exists.
Awesome. And so labels can look like, I'm not smart enough, I'm not pretty enough, like all kinds of labels.
I would say 100% of the time, I ask it before people start working with me, what's the label that holds you back the most? And it's some form of, I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
So whatever makes you feel not good enough, it's time to rip that off and like throw it away. And that's why I chose the label thing, because you go to networking events all the time. You can put whatever you want on that. And if you don't like it, you can peel it away and start over.
Wow.
But it's like the story of an elephant, right? You start to train an elephant by tying a rope to a baby elephant. It learns its limitations. And then it becomes comfortable with those limitations. And so they start with the chain and then they go to the rope, because when it's a baby, it feels the weight of the chain and then the rope becomes the chain. So the same stuff happens to each and every one of us.
Yeah. Psychological chains that we put on ourselves or that we allow others to put on us. And then we go through our whole lives feeling imprisoned to certain degrees. And I think it's true that pretty much everybody walking around has some level. I mean, there's varying levels, but some level that could be peeled back and shed. So what are some of the awesome outcomes that you've had with some of your clients? Like, what are some of the things that you're like, wow, look at what I created, or in your life also? Like, what are some of your wins?
Yeah, I would say my biggest win right now is I was published in the American, what is this thing called? The American Academy of Neurology. I was in an article in the magazine talking about loneliness and disability specifically. So at the beginning of the next level process, one of the things that happened for me that I had never said before was I wanted to write a book. And so I wrote a workbook because I got tired of hearing about every day for 10 years. I would hear people lead with all the things that they couldn't do. And I realized from hearing that, I was like, we have these great sessions for an hour inside this little room, this office, but you're going back into an environment that doesn't support any of the things that we did. So I was like, what can I do to create something that they can take with them? Awesome. So that it's not the whole environment, but it's a reminder of what we created together.
Beautiful.
So I would say those are two big ones right there.
Yeah. Living your dream, living your vision. And I do remember, I know that this isn't you currently, but I do remember after Next Level, or maybe it was during also, you were the muscle motivator and you were like super into health and working out. And I imagine probably some of those things are still what you're up to. But tell me a little bit about that. Like, what was that whole journey around?
So yeah, that journey started when I was 30.
Okay.
And I was sitting on my couch and I was thinking, man, I don't like the way that I look. I don't like the way that I feel. And it just so happens my brother came in and he's like, hey, my gym lets me invite one person during the weekends for free. Do you want to go? And I was like, well, I don't have anything else to do. So let's go. And I remember driving home from that one experience. So I'm grabbing the wheel, my arms are shaking, and I'm like, oh, I think that's something that was missing for me. And so after that, I started going on a regular basis. I was like, what does it take to get a membership? And I've always been, my dad and my brother are both athletes. And so one of the hardest things is to want to be an athlete and not be able to reach that full potential.
Mm.
And then this actually created some level of that for me where I could max out what I had been given. And I also knew that a trainer in that gym had cerebral palsy as well.
Wow.
And so I was like, well, that would be a good person to have be a trainer. So he knows more about what I'm probably experiencing than anybody else. The problem was he was the most asked for trainer. So I had to wait for a spot to open up.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
Um,
Nice.
yeah. And so what opened up for me through that was watching my physical body just transform. And it's a reminder that, yeah, I do have this physical circumstance, but I'm still genetically my family. So that athlete is in there. And it also provided a space for me to show other people with disabilities that this is something that's possible for you as well. And it's actually how I got my first client was through an online fitness forum where the guy saw a video I posted, showed his friend, and he's like, well, if this dude can do it, you should be able to do it too. And so
Nice.
I started working with that kid, and he was a freshman in college at the time, and probably the greatest thing that's ever happened. And for all the coaches out there, the thing is, people watch what we do. They don't hardly care what we say. Like what we
Mm.
say is just going to be inspiring for a minute most of the time, but they watch what you do. And so I did a bench press and created the video. And as soon as I did that, the kid went and worked out by himself and increased his bench press by like 5 pounds. But he also, at first, his parents were like, is this guy going to take advantage of you? Like, is this a scam? Like, what is this?
They're
But
just not. Yeah. Wow. Interesting.
the first thing, um, by the time we ended that month, because we only did it for a month, his dad had told him there was something he couldn't do. And by the time we ended, he did that thing and he said, I've never seen my dad cry before.
Wow.
And his dad was crying because his son showed him that he could create possibility that his dad didn't think was possible.
Wow. That's awesome. What an awesome story. So great. So what I really hear is that you are like, you're somebody who just inspires people around what's possible and to to go for it. Go for whatever it is that you want and to overcome circumstance.
I hope that's what most people get out of that. And one of the things that I know is true for me right now, and I think for a lot of people, is stop worrying about social media. Like, Lewis, right? Lewis is a big proponent of the trainings and transformation. And one of the things, one of the things I know is I've made a conscious decision to say, hey, these people have figured out what they're really good at and they figured out their vision, but I'm not going to put them on a pedestal. My goal is to be a collaborator with them. And if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen right now. But I'm not going to say they're any better than me just because they've got a bigger follower number or a bigger bank account or whatever that is.
Awesome. Yeah.
It can't happen.
Yeah. I think that's great. I think, and then people compare themselves all the time, right? Like we're like, oh, so and so is more powerful because more people like them on Instagram, or they're making more money speaking gigs. And the thing that I think is so great, I mean, I went to Summit of Greatness a few years in a row. I guess the last couple have been online, but the year that I loved the most was all about overcoming obstacles and talking to all the people who had like used to be normal people and now are like super famous. And they're like, yeah, I used to really doubt myself and not have, go out and have my speaking engagements. And there'd be like 3 people there or what, you hear the stories of people that are now very, very impactful. And like everybody has to start someplace, but also I think more maybe important actually, Nathan, is that like when you're doing something for the right reasons, and that's actually the focus and not the social media following, like that's actually when you can authentically create impact.
Yeah. And it all comes down to what are you willing to share? Like, I think that's the biggest space that people have for impact that they're not using. Like I made a post about this yesterday. I said the reason I share as much as I do is because I know that somebody's sitting there watching on a computer or looking on their phone and they feel the exact same way, but they don't have the power to use their voice yet. So maybe by seeing this, that will give them the power to take that next step that's available to them.
That's awesome. So you're just pouring it out there so that people can hear your words and connect and then internalize them and go for it themselves. What do you feel like is if you could give one piece of advice around loneliness, like what do you think cures loneliness in your experience?
So it's not your connection with other people. I'll say that. It's your connection with yourself and being okay with who you are and actually finding out who you are. Like one of my favorite exercises to do, I call it getting out of your head. And it's really about bringing your loneliness to life and creating a visual representation of everything that you're feeling, that you're saying in your head to yourself, and actually bringing it out of you so you can have it to look at. And then on the other side of that is your connection. And you do the same exact thing. You create connection.
Wow. Interesting. So it's sharing and creating the space for the other person to sort of experience it with you. And then you can relate because you're like, oh, I feel that way too. Or whatever, maybe I feel differently, but similar
Well,
feelings.
and like I'll give an example. I went through the exercise with someone, and the way that loneliness showed up for them was it was a chair in the desert,
Wow.
that represented a lot of different things, and nobody's experience has been the same. I ask a question around, when you experience loneliness, what color do you see?
Mm.
All the colors have been different for the most part. There's only been one color that showed up multiple times. But it really is, you have to get connected with yourself and don't depend on finding that within somebody else. So many people say, I want to be in a relationship, but it's not about the relationship with the other person. You're just looking for validation outside of yourself to think that that's what's going to get you connected. I don't think that that's true.
Yeah, you have to be connected to yourself first and foremost.
Yeah.
Interesting. Your technique really of having people just talk about like specifically what comes up for them and connecting visually and like emotionally to it and sharing that like that's super cathartic. That's a lot of the emotional intelligence work that we do that like gets it out of your head and gets it on paper or gets it out into the world in some way.
And the great thing is I had the chair one, and then recently I had somebody say that loneliness showed up as a ratty teddy bear and a rope, and then connection was a sweat, like a Christmas sweater.
Wow.
And what that said to me was, it was about that person's identity with safety.
Nice. Nice. I like it. I like your style. I like your style, Nathan. Awesome. Very cool. I'm like, yes, maybe we'll have to have a session, Nathan. Beautiful. So if people want to follow you and stay connected, what are some ways they can do that?
Yeah, so if you're a Facebook person, I'm on Facebook at The Loneliness Coach. And if you're more Instagram, I'm at The Real Nathan Todd. Those are my two places. And then I've got No Label Live, which is interviews with all kinds of people, and that's on YouTube.
Beautiful. Awesome. Very cool. No label. What was the last one? It was, I want to put it in the comments here.
No Label
No
Live.
label live. Is it double L?
Yeah.
No label live. Okay. I'll get to put that into we'll put that into the comments, guys, so that you can have easy access for that because it's not coming up right at this exact moment. But I want to make sure people can check that out because it sounds like you put some love into those interviews. You've been on this journey for a while now. So that's
it's 2 years old.
awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Very cool. Okay. Well, thank you so much for sharing your perspective and what life has been like and what you're bringing to the world. And thank you for being so committed to just seeing people's authentic selves. I mean, it'd be so easy to just it can be so easy to look at how people show up in the world and just decide that it's a lost cause. But amazing that you're able to look through that and see the truth about who people actually want to be.
You aren't your circumstances. If I was my circumstance, I would probably be in a care facility in a nursing home.
Wow.
So you are not your circumstance. You are who you decide to be.
Wow. Okay. I'm taking that in. I hope everyone else is taking that in. We've had a lot of viewers this evening. Thank you guys for joining and watching and liking and commenting. As always, great to have your love here and your love with Nathan. I know you have many followers here. So thank you so much. And thank you for sharing your message.
Absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity, and keep on your journey, everybody.
Nice.